Begins right now. Voice guy said it. I'm saying it again. I'm Jeff. That is Ira. That is Corey. They're on the other side of the glass. And you're you, and you're with us. And for that, we're appreciative. Welcome in, and our thanks to Register Sausage before we get going here, of course. Yay, sausage.
Well,
Pity sausage lately, boys.
A lot of it.
Pity sausage.
I thought maybe you were just going to, withhold the yay sausage. Like, we don't deserve it.
No. It's not our fault.
It's not our fault.
It's not Ben's fault either. It's not
No.
Register's fault.
No, it's Registers has done nothing wrong. If anything, they've provided great joy in this desperate time.
We actually, Kim and I had some of the short links the other night.
There
we
it
turned
is.
them into little sausage dogs. Easy dinner,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, it's quick and easy.
Just she put them in the oven. Actually, I didn't even put them on the grill. She put them in the oven.
All righty.
And they were delicious. We had some sausage dogs the other night. You can have them too. Registermeats.com is the website. They will have them shipped to you if you live outside. Actually, I think Ben has a new social media person helping out.
Oh, yeah?
And she confirmed that shipping to Hawaii. If you want it shipped to Hawaii, they will have Register Meats will have it shipped to you. Register Sausage, registermeats.com. It will be shipped to you. I still think we're holding off on Alaska just because it's not safe. It's not safe for the delivery driver.
No, that guy showing up at.
There's a liability there, right?
Yeah.
If their delivery guy shows up and gets knifed by a serial killer in Alaska.
Yeah. Of which there's like every third house. So you got to be very careful. You just don't know.
Yeah, it's playing Russian roulette when you
running from society.
Yeah, when you deliver packages in Alaska.
So it is that we say thanks to Ben and Register Sausage. And all jokes aside, it's delicious food, and you would enjoy it. So when you're in Publix or wherever you get your sausage, for that matter,
yeah.
Make sure you see the Register Sausage. It's always bountiful, by the way, around these parts.
They have
to see them everywhere.
They know the demand is high.
All right, so I didn't get mad about this loss. Like, I know things happen in a game that upset you, where you go, oh, I wish that hadn't happened, or that's a pretty critical turn of events there at the end of the half and start the second half.
It was
that felt like that could come back to haunt them.
Felt like that might be your ball game.
Yeah,
it really did. I get it. It does. It happens, and it's upsetting, and it's frustrating. But I actually still remain, and I told Ira this yesterday on the Jeff Cameron show, that the NC State game is the one that still bothers me.
Yeah, man.
They just threw it away.
You gave that game away.
And had they won it, you would not be mad right now.
You'd be 5-2 with a close loss to Clemson.
Yeah,
two top 10 teams.
Yeah,
you'd have 2 losses to 2 top 10 teams and be 5-2. But you didn't beat NC State.
So that ratchets up a little bit of the focus, intensity, and pressure on these next 5 games.
This next one in particular is an enormous game.
Well, they're going to win that game, though,
well,
Corey. I mean, they're going to win that game. I'm not really worried about it.
Okay, well, good.
You guys are
awesome.
really worrying about this Georgia Tech game, aren't you?
I'm not worried about it from a standpoint of I think Florida State's not as good a team, or that the Georgia Tech is some juggernaut. I just think, man, if for some reason you end up in that game and it's a tight game and something happens.
I don't like the way this team plays in tight situations. Typically, they have not equated themselves well in tight situations, and if they're in a third quarter against Georgia Tech, that becomes really tight for them, and Georgia Tech plays with nothing to lose.
Yeah, I get the mentality part of what you're talking about. Like, Florida State now has no margin for error.
That's the
has
problem.
Very little margin for error.
And that was the whole problem with the NC State loss.
Yeah, is that you removed the margin for error moving forward.
If you guys have a different opinion of Wake Forest, I still think Florida State, if they play well, they can beat Wake Forest at home. But regardless,
you don't feel like you gave that game away.
I don't feel like you gave the game away. I felt like if you played sharp, you could have beat that team at home.
But you don't always play sharp. NC State, you gave that stupid game away.
No, I agree. But that's what that game did. Because unless you somehow upset Clemson, which, they could have maybe, I think your prediction was more right on than mine was.
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, the point is, we both know Clemson's better.
Yeah, for sure. I thought they would do a better job of putting some pressure on DJ.
Yeah.
They didn't. He is calmer than he's been in the
past.
He's a lot
better, yeah.
He's also not an accurate passer, though.
Yeah, like, he's not terribly accurate.
If he was an accurate passer, that game could have been even worse. Because he missed some throws.
Yeah, he missed some throws. He's better than he was last year. That's
he is
for sure.
100% better than he was last year.
Yeah,
he's still
it'd have been nice
great.
to see what he looked like in the fourth quarter of a close game.
Right, that's what.
But
that's
it'd been really nice to see that.
And I thought the defense would play better, man. I just did not.
That was a real bummer. That was, to me, the difference in the game. I didn't think the defense had been solid all year. Not great, certainly not a ton of personnel, not a ton of talent, but they don't give up big plays. They do make you earn it on third down. They don't just have guys running free. And I just felt like it was so easy to score on them inside the 10-yard line when normally it isn't. And I know Norvell today talked about after the fake punt, they held him to a field goal. Well, you held them to a field goal because they got called for a hold,
Correct.
an inconsequential hold on another walk-in touchdown that you allowed to the quarterback again. I don't understand where the lack of communication was in that game. That to me was really disappointing because I thought the offense played well enough to win, by and large.
I don't think that let me ask you this question. It got brought up, and I was looking at questions before I came in here just to try to get organized for us.
There you go. Doing a little pre-show production.
I got texted a question, too, by a longtime listener to the show that I've known for a real long time as well.
Are your DMs open, by the way? Can people DM you questions?
Probably. I don't know. Okay. How do you have to physically go in there and open them? Or,
I think you have to say they're open.
You have to say, "Hey Siri, open my DMs."
I don't do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. So the point is, though, I got a lot of interesting emails. I got one for 2:30 in the morning last night. It was a good one.
Could you imagine the women that are DMing him?
I mean, no reply. Maybe I become more desirable because I never
That's
respond.
The key. You want to be aloof and you want to be distant.
Distant, aloof.
Distant, don't even pay any attention.
Uncaring.
They love
absolutely.
it. They love it.
Yeah. No, so my buddy texted me. It wasn't a DM. He just texted me.
Right.
And said that one of his frustrations regarding the defense at this stage of their development is that at no point do they ever really dictate terms to opposing offenses.
That seems fair to say.
And that's kind of a fair assessment. But I was wanting to respond to him in the moment and sort of, I don't know that they have the personnel yet to do it. This is part of that growing process where you bring in better players and you raise the floor, but they're not there yet. And to the point where if you lose a Fabian Lovett, you're really not there. And then you have to play sort of halves and whole games without Verse. Verse is still not 100%, and he's still really – I think he's a guy that is worried that he's going to get injured almost in a weird way. I mean, every time there's any kind of a questionable moment, he lays there. And I'm not ripping him, but I think he's just fearful because he's not 100%. So they've had, these areas. And then I think you wrote about it, Ira, and I think it's just correct. Look, the back end is not real good. And – that's frustrating. They don't communicate well in zone ever. If they have to play zone, they don't play it well. There's too many busts. You're right. They don't give up a ton of big plays, but I feel like there are miscommunications too frequently for my liking. And I feel like
they give away. They give us some easy completions. Now, a lot of what Clemson was doing was just, hey, here's a little swing pass to the running back.
But also, by the way, those were absolutely recognizable. Like all of those were given away before the snap, and we don't recognize it. We're slow to react to it. It's very frustrating.
And I just thought, man, the defense was good against NC State. Now, NC State's offense isn't.
It's not good.
But Clemson's offense isn't good. It's 66 in the country or whatever.
Yeah, it's better when healthy than NC State's offense.
Absolutely. Sure. And the quarterback is much better than he was. But still, that's not an offense that I almost don't care where you give them the ball. They should not score on you 6 straight times. That's embarrassing, man. They haven't done that all season. They haven't come close to doing that all season.
We had some people come back at you for your column and for our post-game wrap for you putting in so much on the defense by saying that, the offense put them in some bad situations, special teams put them in some bad situations. And that's fair, but I would give the defense more credit if they hadn't just given up 70-plus yard drives.
They gave up 2 70-yard drives back to back, and then you have a turnover late in the game. That is not a free ticket to go right down the field and score. It's not like you gave Jordan Travis fumbled the ball at his own 12. Right. He fumbled it at midfield. Yeah. 3 plays later, they're in the end zone. That's a bad defensive performance, man. That first half was gross. The second half, it's fine. They had a 30-yard trick play after a kick return, and they didn't score again. All right. But you lost the game in the first half because your defense couldn't slow down.
You lost the game in a sequence at the end of the first half and to start the second half.
Just hold them to a field goal to start after the Travis turnover.
And, we did talk to Mike Norvell today after practice. And he's a little, has some time to reflect on the game. And, I thought he was right to point out that really the 2 big plays that killed them were after kind of sudden changes. You have the turnover and then you give up a long play. I think that's where
Shipley
the running back
had a big run.
Yeah, the running linebacker gets out in the wrong gap. He just guessed it. It looked like Bethune guessed. I'm guessing. I don't know what. He just left his area, and then that's where Shipley goes through and gets the big run.
He didn't have a great game, by the way.
No, there was a few of those moments. He did not. And he's had some other great games, but that was not one of them. So right there, and Norvell's point was, I think he thinks that maybe guys were trying to make a big play to make up for the mistake. Like, you just had a turnover, so now I'm going to make this big play, and that gets you out of your assignment, and you give up the big run. Same thing on the kickoff return. I think he felt like, or not the kickoff return, but the flea flicker. And also the shoot, the
flea flicker, I dare say.
Yeah, only we run that though.
The first,
it's a Florida State staple.
And in the first touchdown, I mean, he said basically he didn't name Akeem Dent, but he said that's a play we had worked on a lot. Like we had worked on that play a lot, and that's not what we did in the game.
That's a toughie.
So that's like those are free touchdowns. Man, that's not a great quarterback. You can't give him easy touchdown passes.
Gave that offense layups.
So that's what's frustrating about the defense.
Yeah, I'm not in love with it. I mean, I think the next 5 games are going to be very important for Adam Fuller, and I've been frustrated with the defense off and on. To put it that way, it's not every week. I understand people will be like, "Oh, listen, we only give up 31 to Wake. That's a great effort."
You've given up these runs of 28-0 and 27-0 where your defense just keeps giving up point after point.
They have trouble getting off the field on third down.
Correct.
Well, and that was the thing about the Wake, the 31. The reason I didn't get too crazy about that was because you kind of chose to. You kind of made that choice. To give up the yes. So you decided, okay, we're going to let you score slowly, and the downside is our offense is never going to get the football.
And if they do, and if they don't have success, then you're really just exacerbating the situation.
And you look at these games, man, like what did Florida State have the ball in the first half? 5 times, 4 times? It's every game a half goes and they have the ball 4 or 5 times. Like I watched some of these games and an offense will have the ball 9 times in a half. In 16, 17 times for a game. Florida State, it's always 5 times in a half and 11 times for a game. The margin for error. Now, against Clemson, that's probably smart because you maybe want to shorten the game.
Shorten the game against better teams, not a bad idea.
But, it just seems like every game, it's a 5-possession first half or a 4-possession first half.
They're about to play 5 games that are imminently winnable, and it will change the direction of the conversation. It will change the perception of the season. It will change all of it if you play well. But back to our original talking point here, if you do not, it ratchets up the intensity of the criticism and the frustration from the fans and the perception possibly of where the program's going amongst recruits. So the next 5 games are of vital importance. I mean, I can't state it enough. I think everybody recognizes it, but you get a bye at a good time to heal up. You should get most of your guys back that have been missing valuable time. You're a much better football team than Georgia Tech, period. Yeah. That would be a disastrous loss. There'd be no other way to describe that. I don't think they'll play poorly. I think they'll win that game. I think they're going to play well. I hear what you're saying, though. You go in nervous as a fan. You go in thinking, what if they screw around and football's football, there's a tip pass, and the next thing you know, it's 14-14 in the fourth quarter. Who's the one that has the most to lose? Obviously, Florida State at that point. But that is a doomsday scenario. So I think if they play well, they likely win that game fairly comfortably. I'm not saying they're going to win all the games comfortably. They could lose to Syracuse on the road, surely. They could lose on the road to Miami. They could be involved in a real close game against the University of Florida at the end of the year.
Yeah.
We'll see where Florida's at that point. Their defense is in shambles right now. But they are all 5 very, very winnable games. You ought to at least go 4-1. And all I was trying to say yesterday on the show, and I got pushback, speaking of pushback, people were like, whoa, the threatening Mike. First of all, I don't make hiring and firing choices, guys. Secondly,
yeah, you do.
Secondly,
you do. You're running this show.
Secondly, it's not unreasonable to ask them to go 4-1 in those 5 games. Certainly no worse than 3-2. But if you go 3-2 after starting 4-0, you're 7-5. It's not gonna leave people with a good feeling on the season. I think that's fair to say.
Maybe if 2 of the wins
if the wins are against
Miami,
your rivals,
you can live with that. And you have a chance to get to an 8th win in a bowl. That's
but that would mean you lost to Syracuse and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, it means you lost to Syracuse and Georgia Tech.
Or Louisiana. Don't sleep on the Raging Cajuns.
That'd be a problem, man. That's not okay.
Yeah.
So either way you cut it, if you don't win 8 games after starting 4-0 and seeing what this team can be when they play well, then you are going to have questions about the coaching staff. That doesn't mean you don't like them or you think Mike's a bad guy or any of that stuff. It just means, man, you ought not lose some of these games in these situations that you keep failing in.
And I think it's fair to have questions about this. How could you not? We on this show, I think we do a good job of presenting what this program was and how much better it has gotten. And it has. It's been steady progress, but it's been slow, steady progress. And when you do look around the country and you see these other programs that are through the roof right now, it's hard as a Florida State fan to not question, why is TCU so good, man? What the hell happened at Tennessee?
But wasn't it like 6 months ago? It was, look at Michigan State.
I've said this before.
Right.
They were at Baylor.
I was in the middle of this. Yeah. So, but we're 7 games into this season. I think after 12 games, you are absolutely within your rights to say, I want that. He's not as good as that. Why are they
But you
so
were
much ahead
just
of them?
saying it about Michigan State and Baylor and these other schools. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just pick whoever's good right now and say, well, that guy's obviously better.
No,
right.
But you can look at your own program and go, okay, now we're 3 years in. If you go 7-5 after starting 4-0, you can't just keep
These
telling
two things can be
people
true simultaneously.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. But there are legitimate questions.
Without question.
Ira pointing out that they are 11 of 34 on a fourth down is nuts.
Yeah,
that
over
is
the
nuts.
last 2 years.
2 years, they're 11 of 34 on fourth down. He doesn't go for it as much as people think, but when they go for it, they're horrible at it. Horrible. Why?
That's my argument. Just get better at it. If you're going to go for it, that's fine. Can you be better at it?
I was going to say, I tend to look at the decision itself and say whether or not yay or nay from the analytics, whether he should or shouldn't have. And if the answer is yes, he should have, and they don't make it, I can live with that. I'm not happy about it.
What about the one in the first half, though? Why is Toafili not the first and maybe only read on that play when you need 2 yards?
Well, I talked about this yesterday. That's on your quarterback.
Well, yeah, but maybe it needs to be ingrained. You're not even looking down there.
And at some point, Jordan Travis has to take a little blame here, man. He knows he's got him in the flats. It's a first down. He chose to take the dangerous throw and go for the big play. That's on your quarterback.
Well, it's all
you have complimentary routes all the time on all these. You have choices.
Some of that comes down to coaching, as in you stress to him how important that first down is. It's like if you had a shooting
it's
guard.
self-evident that first down is important.
It should be. But I will say that I know when Jim, and again, man, we weren't in Jimbo's practices, and we don't see all of Florida State's practices. We only see a couple days, and we see third down situations, and I'm sure they do fourth down situations.
Not enough.
But it just seemed like that was just a regular play, and Jordan was playing it like a regular play, kind of like the week before the interception in the end zone. It was kind of like he was playing it like a regular play. It's like, no, man, you don't have to have a touchdown there.
Yeah.
So that situational awareness, that's on Jordan. But ultimately, it's on the head coach.
Everything falls back on the head coach, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
But I think Jordan's smart enough to understand in that situation, given his options on the play, that it's of vital importance we convert here and get a first down. I got a free first down to Toafili right here. I don't know what he would have seen in that situation because he's covered, first of all. Why does he think he's going to make that throw and that this is going to be successful? Why is that the better option? That's on him. I'm sure they talked about it in film afterwards. It's too late, fine. But I think maybe I trust Jordan more than that. I would think he would know that. I don't know what he saw that thought, I'm going to go to Wilson here. I don't know why he did that, but it's a terrible mistake.
But back to the other thing. So, again, 6 months ago, it was Arkansas. Well, they're 4-3. Well, so it's like, in Tennessee's situation, look, man, that coaching staff got fired for buying players.
Oh, they got a lot of good players.
It's not a shock that the guy that comes in after them is having some success.
No, this happens every year in college football. There is a program that shocks everybody and wins a bunch of games that nobody expected them to. And then they're the hot commodity.
I think Florida State fans are ready to be that program.
Sure, but
that's where
if they finish 4-9-3 this year, then everybody will be very pleased.
9-3, people will be doing cartwheels.
And every situation inherited by a new coach is different than in another location. And so again, a year ago, Michigan State was everybody's darling. That coach got a massive contract, and he is set for life now because of that season. And they suck.
Yeah,
that team's terrible. We'll see what happens from here. I do believe that Florida State's going to play well over these next 5 games. That's the other part of this, is that the talking points that we make where we're being critical does not necessarily equate to this guy's a terrible coach and I want him gone.
Right.
It's that I'm criticizing him for this, and this.
Yeah, I think on this particular show, I worry about us praising too much when the results are the results. That's why I said what I said about looking around the country. We all think he's doing a good job. But
there's room for criticism.
At some point, there's a reality of, okay, man, they're 4-3 and they're whatever they are, 9-10 in their last 19 games. Like at some point you start covering it as a team that needs to win games and not just steadily improve. And that's where they are. That's where they are now.
But also, you think Wake Forest is better than Florida State?
Yes.
You think Clemson's better than Florida State?
Yeah. So they lost
one game this season that they shouldn't have won, or that they shouldn't have lost.
Correct.
And they beat LSU.
And they were an underdog in that game to NC State, by the way. They lost a game in which they were an underdog.
On the road.
The problem is we have eyes.
But also,
we saw them dominating, and we know.
You see the way the games play out, and you can't – it's hard to argue that there are not situations in these close games where they're not –
Yeah, they're failing in these situations.
I'm not arguing that either. I'm just saying –
the program is in a better shape, much better shape. But now you're in a position where, okay, we got that. That's the standard.
Yeah.
Now you've got to start coaching better in these moments or getting your guys to execute and play better in these moments.
And that's a fair criticism. And I think, I don't know if, Mike's always pretty good about these things. He's fine with all of us having our opinions. And I think he would even tell you that there are a couple things he wishes he had back. He's never been unreasonable in that way. I know I used to criticize Jimbo and I'd get a call an hour after the show. Mike doesn't do that. I think he understands it comes with the territory.
Mike have your number?
Yeah.
You think? Does he?
Yeah.
Does he have your number, Ira? I don't think he has my number.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, well,
sorry.
See, there we go.
You've been left out in the cold, buddy. You want me to text
Great.
Mike and give him your number?
Please,
okay.
please. Tell him I want to
Seminole
talk.
Headlines 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues in a moment.
The cooler temperatures are finally here. Thank goodness. Summer is now in our rearview mirror. With the cooler temperatures, we're going to need some place to warm up. Hearth and Patio can help you with that, whether it's a fireplace, a fire pit, or even warming up while you're grilling for your family. Hearth and Patio can help you with all of these. Give them a call today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning, and they keep us warm.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Whitten Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Whitten's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whitten Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Whitten Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at whittenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186. There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
If you're like most Americans, you're pretty much in disbelief with what's going on in the world. As we all know, global problems are having local consequences, too many of them. And if the peanut butter really hits the fan, are you ready? Grocery store supply chains are only as strong as their weakest link. Don't wait for them to break. Now's the time to secure emergency food for everyone in your family. My Patriot Supply is America's largest preparedness company. Our specially packaged and delicious food stays fresh for up to 25 years in storage. It'll be there when you need it. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and pick up several mypatriotsupply.com.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
It's fun to, sometimes go back through here. I went during the break and look at the chat while, considering the conversation, the nature of the conversation we're having. I'm wondering if sometimes we're off base with the fan base, or we're being too soft, as Corey suggested, or over the top, as others have suggested. But I think there's a lot of rational folks in here today, and they're talking about, look, it's the lack of consistency. Clearly the program is on the ascent. We all agree with that.
Yep.
It's taking a little longer in some areas than we would like. And I think that's all fair. The criticisms and the reason you turn your attention to the sideline is when there is a lack of situational awareness or execution, that always is going to fall on the coaches. And so whatever it is they are or are not doing in those situations does come back to Mike. And I think Mike knows that.
Right.
I think better. Well, I mean, I just think his reactions after the games, Corey, you wrote about him looking ashen after the NC State game.
Yeah.
He knows they threw that game away. He knows it.
And I get your point that it's on the quarterback on that play on a 4th and 2 when he bypasses the easy first down and takes a contested pass. But also, man, like, you're the head coach. It's your offense. You're the play caller. This is your guy. Like, you went into the offseason and said, this is my guy.
Yeah.
It's his offense. I'm not bringing another transfer quarterback, riding with him. Then he's got to be you on the field. He's got to make right decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't happen, that's on you. I mean, that's not just a one-off. Again, that's a couple games in a row now. In big moments, your quarterback's made poor decisions, so that reflects on you. And to the overall point, and I get what Corey's saying, we can't come in here and just defend Mike Norvell and say it's better than it was, so everything's fine. Because that's not true either.
Correct.
He's made mistakes. His staff has made mistakes. And it's been part of why they've lost these games. It's not just talent anymore. It's not just you guys can't play
they're
with those
competitive
teams.
enough to win these games. Now, it would have been a great win, but they're competitive enough to win these games. And like we said, they gave one of them away. Just straight up gave it away.
Chris contributed and writes, can you guys help me understand why we could run versus Clemson but not NC State? Yeah, in the second half couldn't run against NC State. I think, first of all,
how about that, by the way? I'm still flabbergasted.
I'm going to address that with this question. I think that's absolutely correct. I think
it gave
everybody
me
was stunned.
It gave me so much hope for the next 5 games.
They, generally speaking, this is a praise I have for this staff, and especially for the offensive staff. Generally speaking, I think they do a good job of game planning.
Yeah.
That's further proof. None of us thought, and nobody that I know, nationally or otherwise, thought that Florida State would line up with this offensive line and find a way to run the ball effectively against Clemson.
Nobody runs the ball against Clemson.
Nobody does. But Saturday night, Florida State did.
Yeah.
Big time. And they did it with outside zone, which is another thing I didn't think they could do. I thought it would be a lot of misdirection type stuff maybe. I thought Jordan would have to be the primary ball carrier. They lined up and ran the ball on Clemson. That's a credit to them. There was patience. They got out and moved guys. It was very impressive.
That's what I was going to say. It wasn't just game plan. It was guys moving guys.
Yeah,
and the offensive line did well. And
the running backs
ran hard.
Running hard, man. Benson that was his best game. Probably, I think, considering the competition, that's the best he's looked all year. And
Don't
if my
trip
man
on
doesn't
your own
trip,
feet, and
that's 50.
Probably need to give him more than whatever the 6 carries.
I think he might have been limited.
I think he was too. But I mean, that's a 70-yard touchdown run if he doesn't keep
probably.
his feet.
But and I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but Clemson's defensive coordinator and some of their players said that, man, Florida State they kicked our butt.
Yeah,
they were more
it.
physical than we were. They wanted it more than we were. That's a good sign, because a lot of times in games like that where teams cower against the Clemson.
Yeah, and last year,
I think we saw that
last year. They couldn't run it all. I thought they did cower there at the end, but I was very, very impressed with the running game. The offense overall, I was pretty impressed with, but that running game just emboldened me for these next 5 games. Like, well, gosh darn, if you can run like that on Clemson, and if you can put up 28 points and 460 yards against that defense, there's no reason you shouldn't be scoring mid-30s against everybody the rest of the way.
Yeah,
I know games
take on their own complexion,
but you should go into the rest of the season with the offense anyway with a ton of confidence, even in a loss, in my opinion.
I completely agree with that. It's why I'm bullish on the next 5 games.
Yeah.
That's the part of it, is that I'm critical of the mistakes that have been made in a 3-game losing streak. It makes me ask certain questions aloud about Mike, his staff, this team, and the direction, and at the same time acknowledge that they do enough things really well that these 5 very winnable games ought to see you at least go 4-1.
Yeah.
I think those are real fair criticisms and fair expectations.
Yeah,
People are free to disagree, but
I think where we were last year, maybe where I was at the beginning of this year, is just give yourself a chance. Like, be competitive enough to give yourself a chance in the fourth quarter and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, that's every week. They're in every game.
You're in a coin toss, but now it's to the point where, okay, you've established you're going to do that. Now, I used to be process oriented, Ira. I was more process guy. I just wanted to see how.
Now you want some results.
I am absolutely, for this 5-game stretch, very much results oriented. You're going to be in every game. You need to. You should be ahead in every game. You need to win these games. It can't just be, well, you were close and with some bad breaks. You need to find a way to win 80% of these games to feel good about this season and frankly where the direction of the program is going. That's where I wasn't like that a month ago, but now I'm results oriented.
I think it's a good thing to have expectations. It also speaks to how far the program's come in the job that he has done, which is that we all now expect a little bit more because we've seen the evidence that we should expect a little bit more. And that's all because of the improvement that has happened. And I think, I think he expects more too. I mean, that's why he said what he said after the game, that we're done with this. There are no moral victories. I'm tired of this. Like, yeah, great. We play hard. But he's right to say that. That should be the bare minimum, right? Yeah. They always play hard. We don't worry about that anymore. We're moving on to other bigger things to care about, like winning these games, winning situations with the game on the line, avoiding the critical error in those moments. That's all fair. Marcus writes, what impact would Winston Wright make if he came back hypothetically? Good to see you last Friday. Good to see you guys last Friday, Corey and Jeff. Go Noles, go Birds. Thanks, Marcus.
Thanks, Marcus. Appreciate it, man.
Good to see you too. Yeah. It's interesting, guys. That's another one of these questions, right? We talked before the year began. When did we think they would get Winston Wright back? We couldn't know. It was a guessing game because of the car accident, and you just knocked on wood you'd get him back in a reasonable amount of time. If he's not back by the time we play Georgia Tech in 2 weeks here,
I think he will be. Ira, you with me?
I would think so. I think he's been getting closer and closer, and now you still have another week and a half. I think there's a decent chance he does.
He did. He did more work today than he's done all year.
But what he brings to the offense, though, it's hard to know exactly because it's not like you're bringing a guy who's going to run flies. He's going to just take the top off the defense. He
brings a ton of experience,
but he has a lot of experience. He's been a slot receiver, ton of catches, dependable receiver,
proven commodity.
Yeah. So assuming he feels good, now it's one thing to be cleared. It's another thing to go out there and actually know you might get hit running across the middle. So you have to see how that plays out. But he's definitely motivated to get back, and he looks like he's getting closer.
Yeah, and so if you get him back, and then you look, obviously, we got to believe now you're going to get Fabian Lovett back in time for this Georgia Tech game, and then moving forward, if he stays healthy, knock on wood, he's a huge difference maker for you. I mean, it changes the entire identity of that defensive line for the better. So
if you were the quarterback, how would you throw a fade to Johnny Wilson?
Not the way that Jordan did in that particular game.
Which time?
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Why? I was saying this in the box, so this isn't hindsight. This isn't 2020 hindsight. Why are you throwing a 40-yard pass for 2 yards? Why is he all the way on the other hash? It's man-to-man, I get it. But why not just put him on the hash closest to you, have him run to the end zone, turn around, and lob it to him? Why try to make it? It looks like Jordan's trying to throw to the pylon.
Well,
why not just throw it high and let the guy go jump and get it?
That's not a hard throw, and he struggled with it on this night. I don't know why.
But you're making it as hard as possible by throwing it 35 yards.
If you get the separation where nobody could break off their man and go over and help or anything like that, you've got a one-on-one situation with a lot of space. There's no reason for him to throw it out of bounds, to throw it to where – I mean, that's on Jordan.
It was almost like he was trying to not throw an interception.
I think he was trying to throw it perfectly.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Just throw it up in the air.
You don't have to. We've all had a mouse in the house. We all know. Give me the ball in the post, baby.
I mean, not all of us, bud.
Well,
Who am I saying that to? Playing a bunch of 7-year-olds. Yeah, mouse in the house, and I elbow him.
It's just not hard. Get me the ball up here. I used to yell at Clark when I'd play with Bryce, and I'd post Bryce up because Bryce was talking smack about, okay, let's get down in the block. And Clark would throw the ball to where Bryce could reach. I'm like, get the ball up here. I got a foot on the kid. Let's go.
That's what Johnny's got to say to Jordan. Just throw it to me.
Just get it to in the zip code of this catch radius, guys. I can make the play. I'm not making excuses for Jordan there. Listen, Jordan's had a couple of moments in these games. He hasn't been great all the time. He hasn't always made the right decision. He's had a couple of inaccurate throws.
That goes with the territory of playing quarterback. He's been a good quarterback, and I thought he was good in that game. I mean, if you'd have gone to the game and told me he was going to total 330 yards and 3 touchdowns.
This is very similar to the conversation about the coaching staff. We think that things have been improved, but there's room for criticism.
Absolutely.
And Jordan has made some mistakes, but he's a lot better than he was. We know that.
And what's happened in these last 3 games is you played good teams, and good football teams that didn't make a lot of mistakes.
They don't make any mistake. Florida State isn't going to force a turnover, apparently, not against a good team. They got 1 takeaway in 3 games, and that's the difference, man. And it's not just the turnovers you've had; it's the turnovers on downs you've had. Those are essentially.
So,
turnovers.
if we were talking about the most disappointing elements of the team this year, would you say it is the back end, the secondary? Because I think the secondary is pretty dreadful.
I was talking to somebody today at practice. Like, I just don't understand what happened with Duke Cooper.
Well, clearly he's hurt. I mean, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, I suppose.
But he's out there then.
It is weird. It is weird that you're practicing and playing, but it may be an injury where you're just playing through something that you can't get worse, so you're just going to play through it. Maybe
he's not playing well. Sit him.
Yeah, it's
right.
I mean, he's not playing well. Sit him.
No, not playing well. He's the eighth
not
worst
good. He's
corner
not good
in the
right
country,
now.
according to PFF.
And given what we saw at the end of last year and what we're seeing this year, it is rather inexplicable.
Because in the spring, I thought he was the best player on the football team. I mean, he dominated spring practice. I'm like, oh my God, they got another dude.
Based on what we saw in the last 4 or 5 games last season, from the Clemson game on, and then in the spring, that's the thing. You think with him and Jamie Robinson and just the Akeem Dent, the way he played late last season, and he kept making plays in the spring.
Yep.
But man, so it's not like I don't want to say they've been dreadful because they haven't given up. The 13th in the country in passing defense.
Yeah, until this game, they hadn't given up.
Who believes that?
Any big plays? They hadn't given up any big plays until this game. They were literally like 4 plays.
I just
over
asked
30
you,
yards.
you watch the games, I watch the games. Yeah. We ain't rolling up into that press box thinking this defense is dominant. This secondary is playing really well. Nobody would say that.
They have not been a good secondary. I would say that the defensive line has been the worst performing unit, but you can blame that on
lost
injuries.
dudes and injuries. Yeah.
That's been the worst performing.
But I mean, like if I had told you coming out of spring, not only is Renardo Green going to be your starter, but he's going to be your best corner. And it's not going to be close. Yeah, you'd be like, what? Have you lost your damn mind?
Is Renardo Green like an NFL corner? Man, he's good.
He's playing pretty well.
He's physical.
He's good,
physical,
man.
Yeah.
And he tracked the kid down right on the was it the kick return or the long run he had?
The long run.
So he can run too.
Well, we should note, by the way, it's not just Duke Cooper that has taken a huge step back.
Kevin
Noles has been awful all year.
Yeah.
And Akeem.
Well, I don't think the secondary's played well, period. I mean, we can just take turns.
Yeah, especially considering what Noles and Cooper looked like last year. And then this year they have seemingly really regressed.
Well, there's a lot of pressure these 5 games for Fuller's unit to play better than they have and to see some improvement in the secondary. I am curious to see how soon we start to see Azareye'h Thomas more, who, obviously had that
role. The same amount, 20. I didn't check
was
PFF.
It total 20? What did he have? 20?
I'm not sure exactly, but he also was involved in the wide open tight end.
Yeah, the wide open tight end for the
he's going to make mistakes. He's going to make mistakes because that's what happens with really young players, but his upside is much greater currently than what we've seen from some of these other guys that are rolling out there, and that's the aggravating part. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in just a moment.
Your local news now.
The Leon County Community Pet Pantry is running very low and they need donations to stock it back up. The Pet Pantry serves people who often cannot afford to buy pet food, like seniors on a fixed income and people dealing with medical issues. The pantry has also seen an increase in people relying on their services due to the pandemic. Donations of both wet and dry dog and cat food may be dropped off at the Leon County Humane Society, located at 413 Timberlane Road, Monday through Thursday from 10 to 3. They also have after-hours drop-off bins, but please do not leave pet food on the porch at night after hours. A push to get more student housing is gaining steam. Florida A&M University has sealed the deal, purchasing Brooklyn Yard Apartments on Conklin Street. The Board of Trustees approved $14 million from the U.S. Department of Education to purchase additional housing. The property has about 118 units, and about 75% of the tenants are current FAMU students. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Now open at their new location on John Knox Road. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Highs around 69 today under mainly sunny skies. Winds out of the north, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Lows dip down to about 41. Daytime highs approaching 64 tomorrow. Ample sunshine expected. Ample sunshine expected Thursday with daytime highs approaching 67. 73 Friday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 67.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400, or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Your next chance to win $1,000 is coming up at 3 p.m. Don't miss your chance to shake the 93.3 money tree and see what falls out. Planted by the law offices of Basic Brooks. Come back stronger with Basic Brooks.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Hey, Matt.
Yes, Greg.
You know all the different ways that you can listen to Real Talk 93.3? There are several. So we've got realtalk93.com. You can go back and listen to all of our shows in the podcast section.
That's right. You can also listen on our app as well.
Search Real Talk 93.3 and look for the red microphone and download our app. Never go anywhere without us.
And of course, you can always listen right on the radio.
Well, they are listening.
Are they?
If they're hearing this commercial, then they're listening.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
I think it's odd that Tennessee asked their donors and fans to donate to the cause for them to
That was a weird one.
I feel like Josh Heupel should have just said, hey, I'll write a check.
Man, come on, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Surely you've got the money in the coffers to go put up some new goalposts. What are we doing around here? It's just a weird thing.
Very weird.
As an aside.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not like the SEC is making a whole lot of money. Or anything.
Yeah,
it's just
they make $80 million a year in revenue.
It's very strange to me. By the way, we should talk bigger picture here. This is a more interesting college football season for a lot of reasons. For starters, FSU finally doesn't suck. That's good. Yeah. That's a good thing. We now have expectations, right? They're ratcheted up. Secondly, I don't think there looks to be a clearly dominant, badass, nobody's going to beat them team for the first time in a long time. Usually we're looking around going, well, Bama's pretty unbeatable. Not anymore. Hell, Bama should have lost maybe 3 times this year.
Yeah.
I don't think Ohio State is as good as they've been recently. They're still good, and they're probably going to make the college football playoff without a problem. But they played poorly early against Notre Dame. We saw that. They've got some fallibility. Georgia hasn't played up to their ability, so or at least not offensively.
Ask Vanderbilt. Buddy.
Well, come
on, and get some, Commodores.
Come on, man.
Come and get some.
Walking out of that game Saturday, I really felt
Clemson's not far and away.
I thought Clemson was who I thought they were.
They are who you thought they were, but I started to think maybe DJ's better than I thought, but he missed some throws there that tells me in a playoff game that they're not going to beat anybody good.
I don't think they can outscore. Like Ohio State's going to put up points on them. I don't know that kid can
score more than 14 points or 17
can
points.
Beat a good team.
So
like a really good defense.
They may get to the playoff because they may just run right through all of this, which is probably expected at this point. But I don't think they can beat.
Hey, buddy, they got Syracuse this weekend.
Let
them fool around and just half step after the big win over Florida State. We got undefeated Syracuse.
Trap
Here we
game
go.
coming up.
I get a game day up there when Florida State goes.
And it is funny when you think about, like, North Carolina is ranked now, Syracuse is whatever they are.
North Carolina's got the best quarterback in the league.
But if it's just this guy's luck. If Florida State had played Syracuse's schedule to date, they would be undefeated at number 11 in the country. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. You got to play who you play. And North Carolina has played no one. Like, they're
the big win over App State.
Yeah, right. App State and at Miami with their 2 best wins. So it's like, man, it's not only did there's some bad injury luck, not only there's some poor coaching and situations, but man, that's Wake at NC State and Clemson back to back is a rough stretch.
Tough. Yeah, but these next 5 are all winnable.
Yeah, that's why it comes back. But that's what I'm saying. So at the end of the year, we might be looking back and saying, well, Florida State's the 17th best team. They're ranked 17th.
There's still abundance of opportunities here. That's what I'm saying. It's like we're mired in it right now. But
and I think if you get Fabian Lovett back, if you get Jared Verse closer to 100%, if Robert Scott gets better after this bye week, that's a different team going into those
other
last
guys
5
too,
games.
Like Jamie Robinson gets healthier, Tatum Bethune gets healthier, like all that stuff for the stretch run.
Bye week was sorely needed.
Yeah. Would have been cooler coming off a win. You know what I mean?
Lots of things are.
Yeah,
You're right.
The only thing that I think where we talk about that 3-game stretch, which thinks about it again, we talked about it on the Sunday Smash with Tom, is if you had lost the game earlier and then not had 3 straight losses,
them,
LSU and NC State, you flip those 2, maybe it doesn't feel like you're going in the tank here with these 3 straight losses. On the other side, I think you played LSU when you wanted to play LSU. That probably worked out pretty well from a scheduling standpoint.
And there's always 2 sides to the coin when we do this thing where we're well, if this had fallen in Florida State's favor, but then invariably you could go back and go, well, they kind of got a break here, and if they decide to go for 2 at the end of the LSU game, you probably lose that game. There's all these things where we talk about it. But I think Florida State is still in a position to have the season we'd hope they'd have.
Yep.
That's all that you can ask for through 7 games. I would have liked to have not blown a 17-3 lead against an NC State team whose offense was impotent. That would have been nice, but it didn't happen. That's the fierce criticism. We can go down that road. But everything else, you lost as an underdog to Wake. You lost as an underdog to Clemson. They happen to be at home, and that's frustrating. But hey,
well, no, you weren't underdog to Wake.
I thought they were.
No, they were favorable.
Oh, that's
I bet
right.
that game.
Yeah, that's right. Well, why'd you do that?
I did.
Anyhow, Wake, I think Ira and I disagree. That's fine. I think Wake's better than Florida State. But the point is that's not a bad loss.
No.
And the loss to Clemson is not a bad loss. Things happen during games that elicit emotion. I get it, but those aren't bad losses. If you take care of business going 4-1 over these next 5 games, we're talking about a good season, something to build on, something that I think inspires a lot of belief. Well, probably 2 wins over
your rivals.
Yeah.
If you go 3-2, it's not a disaster, and it's not like you were saying that the Norvell tenure is over.
No,
but it
hurts him though.
It takes away the chance you had for getting some real momentum going into the offseason and recruiting.
It could hurt you in recruiting. And I think long term, if it hurts you in recruiting, then the talking point before the year that I was making, which bothered some people, was that he'd be a dead man walking if they don't have a big step forward here. And what I mean by that is they wouldn't fire him if he goes 7. They wouldn't fire him if he goes 6-6. I mean, they're not going to fire him, nor should they. I'm just saying that the chance you get it turned around if you have a mediocre season after this amount of time to win over recruits moving forward from that would be extremely difficult. And so therefore you won't have the requisite talent to have the kind of season 10-2.
Man, you're coaching like it's 2016 or something, man. We're in the age of the portal.
Yeah,
I got a couple names
sure
for
how
you.
eager everybody's going to remain to roll in here if you're going 6-6.
I got a couple names for you out in the portal.
This is what Corey did after that game. He just started looking through other
He
rosters.
got so desperate he just started looking at portal kids.
So the 4th ranked,
not portal kids.
No.
Kids that are on teams, flourishing, having great seasons. He's deciding who he wants to.
So Illinois has one of the best defensive tackles in the country by PFF grades, top 5 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
True sophomore.
Yeah.
Is killing it there. Florida kid, sophomore, Illinois. Their edge rusher is one of the top 10 edge rushers in the country.
By the way, they have 1 loss.
Sophomore.
Illinois may win 9 games. You think he's going to roll on in here?
Would you stay in Champaign, Illinois, if you could go to? These were guys
I would
that
have
weren't
never
recruited,
gone to
though.
Champaign,
Illinois.
but
they were 2-star recruits that are overplaying what their ranking were.
Yeah.
Now they got a chance to cash in. I'm just saying, Tallahassee's a good place to cash in.
Get them.
They don't have recess in Champaign, Illinois, my man. That's not a thing.
You've done a lot of partying in Champaign, Illinois, have you?
I can't imagine in December or November kids are hanging out at a pool.
No, I don't think
they're
they are.
bundled up. Illinois sucks in the winter.
Yeah.
These are Florida boys. Ira, we're going to get them here, man. We're going to get that's how you do. But the overall point here is what gives me a little pause about the direction this program is going in. It is going in a positive direction is, there's a chance you're losing a good chunk of this team after this year. Then what? Do you have to rebuild again in the middle of a rebuild? Who's your quarterback? Who's your safety? You know what I mean?
Well, your safeties haven't played well. Probably somebody
Jamie
better
Robinson
than the guys.
can play. Fabian Lovett can play. Jared Burst can play. Who are you replacing these guys with? That's my.
Just last year when we lost Jermaine Johnson, they replaced him with Jared Burst,
Well,
and we thought you'll never be able to replace Jermaine Johnson.
That's why I'm talking about the portal. But
Right.
you're talking about how recruiting is going to be
But
impacted.
at some point, you have to have an impactful class to base your growth around. It can't just be a portal guy here, a portal guy there.
So when you look at this team, there aren't, in my opinion, a ton of young Mike Norvell recruits that are flourishing and shining, and you're like, I can't wait till that guy's a junior.
Patrick Payton,
Yeah.
Josh Farmer.
I said a ton. There's and you can name
Zaria Thomas, Sam McCall. There'll be others.
Shaheem Brown, Sam
Julian
McCall.
Armella.
I don't. Again, none of these guys have done anything.
Well, have you given up on Shaheem Brown already?
No,
you given up
I'm
Julian
saying,
Armella already?
You're talking about 3. Usually, when you're building towards the future, you've seen these freshmen and sophomore that are taking great steps. You haven't quite seen that yet, and they're going to have to. Whether they do it next year as starters or these guys come back and they get more reps as backups. But usually when you're building something, there's a growth.
You see it. You see the stepping stones. You see where,
a lot of the growth for this team in particular is coming from upperclassmen and transfers who might not be here.
I think it's a good mix. I think there's a lot of young talent on this team that I like. I think there will be some holes, but there's going to be holes for every team, and they've done a good job in the portal. But for the long-term success, you do have to do well in recruiting, and they have. Hakeem Williams is one of the top receivers in the country. He's committed to Florida State.
Yeah, Blake Nicholson's going to be a good linebacker.
Was there this weekend and said, I'm more sold than ever.
Right.
So it's not like these guys are jumping off. I mean, I don't even think that was a bad weekend. What happened in that game, I don't think hurt them in recruiting.
Oh, and the Clemson game's not the problem. I think he's talking about bigger picture. Yeah, Clemson's not a problem. I mean, that sucks. Would have been nice to get the upset win, but that's not the end of the world. And if anything, I don't think you played poorly enough to upset recruits or anything like that. I'm with you.
And what you had early this season was you did have those marquee performances.
Big wins.
That got a lot of people excited.
But conversely, look, there's a chance that if Johnny Wilson comes back, Jordan Travis could come back, Fabian Lovett, Jared Verse, Jamie Robinson, all these guys could come back. And if they do, I think you're a top 15 team in the country next year to start the season. The counter to that is Johnny Wilson could go, Jordan Travis could go, Fabian Lovett could go, Micah Pittman could go.
Well, a lot of those guys are going to go either undrafted or late.
Right, but
so they could do that.
People make bad decisions all the time.
But
so
they also could stay.
That's where my concern comes in is what if you have a 7-5 or 8-4 season and then the biggest reasons for those wins all leave?
Yeah, I think but of that group, man, there's like 2 or 3 guys I think that I don't know that you can easily replace. I think there's a lot of those guys you can replace.
Yeah, I listen, at the end of the day, I really focus on trying to get to 8-4 this year and build some momentum.
Let those chips fall where they may.
And we'll worry about it. We'll go out and identify
and
those areas.
You go to Champaign and get
pluck
those
some guys. Yeah, it's funny. The Nebraska receiver Palmer, his kid, had 297 yards from scrimmage on Saturday against Purdue, and he was in Louisiana. He was at LSU, and they got him to somehow transfer from LSU to Nebraska. I'm like, well, we go get that kid. Go get that kid.
Yeah,
Anthony Grant's on that team, by the way.
Right? Yeah.
And I don't know what's up with Illinois because I've only been looking because
they play good defense and they run the ball. Yeah,
I was texting them though.
But like their touchdown, they've given up like 2 passing touchdowns and have 12 picks. Like that's got to be some luck too. Like they're playing on offense.
Who they're playing.
Well, honestly, Ira, it's those 2 guys on the front
that are causing all the mayhem.
Yeah, I'm just saying you want
2 Florida kids who can't wait to leave Illinois and come to Tallahassee.
Come back to Florida, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna Illinois. By the way, that's scheduled so far up to this point. We're gonna learn more about.
Played anybody with a
they
pulse.
played Iowa, who's arguably the worst offense in the country
in the history of football.
Minnesota, who's awful on offense. Wisconsin, who's awful on offense. Chattanooga, whatever. Virginia.
Virginia's awful.
Yeah, Indiana's awful. And they beat Wyoming's ass.
So my guess is Bielema is going to get like a 10-year extension in the next week.
Yeah,
just like the guy at Michigan State.
No, I just think you need to go get those 2 defensive linemen. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're coming to Florida
I want
State,
you to spend this weekend identifying some others so we can start the campaign.
What else do we need?
That's all he does now.
That's it. Hey, headliner questions forthcoming. Stay with. We'll be back next hour. Coming up in a moment.
Is football headquarters. And with 5 Tallahassee area locations, there's probably an El Jalisco right around the corner right now.
Hey Tallahassee, it's Sarah with Seminole Auto Glass. You're probably driving right now, which means you're surrounded by glass. Did you know that each piece is made differently? Your windshield is 2 sheets of glass with a thin plastic in between. This allows it to take an impact without going all the way through. Side and back glasses are typically tempered. This strengthening process is what allows them to be shattered in the event of an emergency. Regardless of the glass or how it breaks, we can help. Trust your local auto glass experts. Seminole Auto Glass, proudly serving the Big Bend for over 15 years. Better call Seminole.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. A Russian warplane has crashed into a residential area in Russia after suffering engine failure, killing over a dozen people.
Firefighters at the scene attempted to put out the flames still raging overnight as a large plume of smoke engulfed the singed and damaged apartment block. A Russian Su-34 bomber came down in the port city of Yeysk after one of its engines caught fire as it was taking off. Russian authorities said both crew members bailed out safely, but the plane crashed into a residential area, causing a fire as tons of fuel exploded on impact. Several of the victims died after they jumped from a 9-story apartment building to escape the massive blaze. I'm Karen Chamas.
Also at srnnews.com, Republican Georgia Governor Brian Kemp and Democratic challenger Stacey Abrams painting different visions for the future of Georgia. During a debate last night, Kemp described who the majority of new gun buyers are.
The largest, fastest growing segment of the population that's buying handguns and firearms is African Americans and females. You know why? Because the criminals are the only ones that do have the guns.
Abrams says she is concerned about the number of guns.
Yes, more people are buying guns, but that's because they think that's the only way to protect themselves because guns have flooded our streets.
The debate was aired on the Atlanta Press Club, Georgia Public Broadcasting. A pipeline operator has agreed to pay $50 million to Southern California fishermen, tourism companies, and property owners who sued over an offshore oil spill last year. A proposed settlement between Houston-based Amplify Energy Corporation and the businesses filed Monday in federal court. A judge still needs to approve it for it to take effect. On Wall Street, stocks are higher now. The Dow up 322 points. The Nasdaq ahead 123. This is SRN News.
Charlie Dombeck here from Key City Capital. As a practicing CPA for nearly 30 years, I have found that 80% of your ability to grow your wealth is dependent upon two factors: taxes and investment performance. At Key City Capital, we improve investment performance by diversifying capital into off-market investment opportunities in passive rental real estate and alternatives like asset-backed lending. We recover dollars that clients unnecessarily pay in the form of income taxes, creating a lifetime annuity of savings. We are a sponsor of passive, affordable single and multifamily residential rental investments, which are located in Sunbelt landlord-friendly states. These investments are the top choices in a rising interest rate and inflationary environment. They represent a store of value, protecting your capital from market volatility. Learn how we at Key City Capital can help you ultimately grow your wealth rapidly. Connect with me at keycitycapital.com or give me a call at 817-912-1569.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regulars.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. Get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
It's time for Seminole Headlines, featuring Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron, managing editor Ira Schofel, and senior writer Corey Clark. Your weekly dose of all things FSU, pistols, and pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
Hour number 2, Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Time for headliner questions. Before we get there, our thanks to Dr. Birch Orthodontics, sponsoring the hour. Ride and Die orthodontist, and somebody I'll be seeing real soon. I think it's next week. We've got an appointment for one of the boys, so I will be seeing her. Hopefully this will be, well, no, we don't have a game this weekend. I won't be able to see her after a win.
Can't lose, though. You won't see her after a loss.
That's true, too.
Good point.
Yeah, good point. But Birch Orthodontics is where it's at. If you're here in Tallahassee and you or one of your loved ones needs orthodontic work, that's where you want to go. Best in the business, been with us for a long, long time. Do business with people who do business with us.
A great Nole. Die hard Nole, ride or die, supporter of the program, and unbelievable orthodontic work, payment plans, free consultations, great customer service, everything you could ask for.
Brandon writes, the defensive miscommunications, especially on the back end, don't seem to be going away. Does Norvell need to start considering changes after the season? Also, what does Chris Thompson do for this team? Recruits never seem to mention him, and the tight end job is usually a spot to stash a recruiter. He gets right to the point, doesn't Brandon? I'll tell you what, he's not having it.
Third loss. We're 4 or 5. Who are we firing?
Here we go. Let's get to talking.
Let's have some conversations.
Yeah, not unreasonable questions, but anyhow, let's go back to the question about Adam Fuller. It was funny. Yesterday, Tom asked me point blank. We were sitting there in the middle of a second. He goes, hey, let me ask you a question. Is Adam Fuller having a good year? I was like, that's an interesting question because it's not a terrible year.
He's not having a bad year.
He's not having a bad year. But I wouldn't say he's having a good year.
I do think there's been some plays where you're like, okay, I can get it. Like
sure, you're going to give up some plays. It's modern football, yeah.
Like that wheel route or whatever with the tight end. Like that's a tough play. Like that's a well-designed play. He's hidden.
It's a off the cap moment.
It's like, okay, that's a nice play.
Nicely done. Yeah.
Then there's some other ones where it's just like, man, it can't be that easy. You just cannot give up. And again, I don't understand. And Norvell talked about it some today, some of those broken plays, but you definitely got the impression that, some of those things they had gone over and the coaches had gone over them. So at that point, you kind of look at the players.
Yeah.
You were prepared and you didn't play well in the situation. But at the end of the day, a lot of these guys have played a lot of football also. So when you have a guy like Akeem Dent is a guy who's played 4 years of college football, has been in the system for 3 years now, has been a starter for most of the last 2 years, you can't be making mistakes like that. I mean, they just can't be just easy mistakes. So I don't know, man. Yeah, ultimately, Mike Norvell's got to figure out what's not happening there, why it's not working. And that's ultimately because if he stands by his coordinators or his position coaches and this goes on into next year, then, people are going to have the point at the head coach.
The answer for Chris Thompson,
he's a tight ends coach. He's also like Norvell's confidant, I guess. He's like he was.
Yeah,
one
they
of the
go
first
back
people,
a long way.
He was
his
one
consigliere.
of he was one of Norvell's coaches when
Arkansas
Norvell was,
State,
or Central Arkansas. One of the
Arkansas, wherever he was.
And so he's known him forever, and
that doesn't mean you should be on the staff. It's
I'm
just
not saying that.
That's just answering the question.
I'm just explaining what. The value there is not just the fact that he's a tight ends coach.
This is Greg. Is the FSU offense slow to recognize the defensive adjustments because we no longer have our OC up in the box? Seems like we come out on fire, but then take forever to make the necessary changes once they adjust.
I don't know. Well, because the Wake Forest game was the opposite, right? They were horrible there in the second quarter and then played pretty darn well the second half and left points out there. I thought the offense was good. I mean, especially considering the opposition, it might have been the offense's best game of the year in totality.
Schemed up the run game exceptionally well.
There's that third the first drive. I mean, I don't even know what you do. The first drive of the third quarter, maybe it's the second drive of the third quarter. I don't remember. But you start off with a 5-yard loss on a simple run. Maurice Smith blocks the wrong way or just gets beat. It was hard to tell from his reaction. But all of a sudden, it's 2nd and 15 against Clemson. Oh, great. There you go. There goes that drive. There was still a little too much of that, but I don't think – I mean, they started to throw the ball a little bit more when they had to in the fourth quarter, but I thought that was all designed pretty well, and they moved the ball up and down the field the last quarter.
Well, the reality is, though, those two late touchdowns.
Did Clemson make an adjustment, though, do you think, in the second? It was clear NC State did, I thought. I don't know that Clemson did much adjusting from half to half.
Well, I think in the second half, Florida State, I think, those 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter were scramble drill plays.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the offense was just humming.
Well, and also once you screw up the end of the first half and the first possession of the second half, you're now in such a hole that you kind of have to come out of whatever your game plan was. And so how much of that was scripted and how much of that was just Jordan making plays and they had to throw the ball and he bought a lot of time. And, I don't know. When you're down by 3 scores, your game plan kind of goes out the window. I don't think they were slow to adjust. They just had to do something.
And apparently your fans just bounce.
Well, 34-14, fellas, I got to be honest with you. I mean, it's pretty unreasonable to suspect that you're going to come back and win that game.
Especially when you fake punt and get stuffed and you're inside the field. I think that's when people start to take it off.
Yeah, but where are they going? A lot
of good games on around the country.
Yeah. Not
buddy,
night.
USC and
USC and
Utah was incredible.
Well, these Noles fans.
I mean, at that point in time, you're thinking they're going to lose by 35 or 40.
At 34-14, I thought there was a distinct chance they could lose.
But I don't think you bounce then. I wouldn't bounce.
I don't blame fans.
That was 34-14.
Your team won a World Series and you didn't watch them on TV.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you need to be the guy.
I was trying to get him out, but
telling people what they should be doing at the game.
Stick around. It's all right. We're only down 11 runs in the 7th.
28. It was 28 minutes to go.
Maybe they all feel like the team will do better if they leave.
Well, I can get behind that sentiment. It's like I'm bad luck. Let me stop watching.
Nola Noles
I really
writes,
wish they'd recover that onside kick, though. There was 11,000 people in that stadium to watch the greatest comeback in Florida State history if they recover that onside kick.
The bye couldn't come at a better time. I don't see this team giving up, and with the addition of some injured players after the bye, I feel that we stand a legit chance to run off 5 W's in a row.
Let's go.
How do each of you feel? Hey, Nola Noles, you're just echoing this guy, and that's good. Good. It's a smart move on your part.
Though. You can't win 5 in a row until you win 1 in a row.
That's right. It's coming up.
You've always said that.
All eyes on Georgia Tech, gang. They're going to be playing Thursday night. Keep an eye on them.
Don't look ahead.
Don't look ahead to Miami. You better beat Georgia Tech.
Toby Noel writes, hello, gentlemen, and Ira. I kid. Ira's, Karen's, and mine favorite. Oh, so see there,
it's not true.
Jabbed at you.
You're all Karen's favorites, Ira. Every Karen in the world.
Karens
you're their
love
favorite.
Ira. He's right in their wheelhouse. Besides Jordan and Lovett, which 2 players on offense and 2 on defense do you think will need to have very good second halves if FSU is to be successful? Well, those are 2 good ones. I'm going to need somebody in that secondary to play a hell of a lot better than they've been playing. So.
Akeem Dent. Start playing.
It's a fair one.
Yeah, Akeem Dent.
And Jared Verse.
What about on offense, though? Is anybody on offense you think needs to?
I mean,
Pokey? I don't.
He's kind of disappeared.
Yeah,
they
don't throw him the ball a whole lot, but maybe he's not open. He's certainly not the guy they target the most.
Johnny's obvious.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. The thing about the running backs is I don't even know. I really liked the way Toafili ran the other night.
Yeah, we haven't shouted him out, man, enough. That guy's he's a football player, and I love how much better he is, man, than he was last year.
Completely different than
I don't like getting too far ahead of myself, but I think next year he's going to be a very, very good football player. Because you're seeing all the signs.
He does, but he's a
he'll
Swiss
get even
Army
bigger and
knife.
stronger. He's still got to get bigger and stronger.
But he's also, I thought he's just going to be a big play guy that maybe, I was like, maybe he's a slot guy.
Kind of like Ja'Kai Douglas.
I thought in August he was a slot receiver. I was like, well, he's not going to get any carries behind Ward and Benson. They might as well move him to receiver. Man, he is a hard running back. He runs hard and slithers through holes and gets you those tough yards.
Squin67 writes, greetings, gents. Love the show. Excited about the back half of the Noles schedule. There is opportunity to win on the field and in recruiting. Is Syracuse for real? He goes on to say, I think not. It depends on what you mean for real. They're a hell of a lot better than anybody thought they were going to be coming into the season. I do think you're going to have to go up there and earn it. It will be a hard-fought game that goes down to the fourth quarter. Do I think they're real as
they're
in
probably
like
not
a
one
playoff
of the
team? No.
top 10 teams in the country.
I think they know what they are, which is good.
And that quarterback's doing a good job.
They do. Yeah. They know how to use their quarterback. He's a tough kid. He'll run when he wants to, when he needs to. He's made some big plays and big moments. The running back's really good. They've got some really nice players on defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they are a solid
play to who
team,
they are, yeah.
and they play to who they are. But are they at the level of a Clemson? No. But
they play this Saturday, buddy. We'll find out
man.
this Saturday.
We'll see this Saturday.
Syracuse is like, get you some, Ira. We're going to beat Clemson.
Yep. If they beat Clemson, then they're absolutely for real.
Tom writes, is the secondary the worst unit on the team? And are all of those high-rated recruits just recruiting misses, or are they not being developed properly? Yeah, Tom, I think this is a fair criticism. I've been frustrated with the secondary, what they don't do, the miscommunications. There's no elite-level player in that secondary right now. There's no difference maker in that secondary right now. And they screw up some of the basic things sometimes from a technique standpoint. So I think it's a fair criticism.
The defensive line, though, plays an enormous role in that, right? Like, it's the same players from last year. And last year, I think they ended up with, they were 5th in the country in interceptions.
I need to look up. I do want to look up the blitz rate compared to a year ago, because I'm guessing they're blitzing a lot more.
Or pressure rate, just the pressure rate.
But I think they're still getting sacks, but I think they're having to bring more pressure.
Yeah.
And so now maybe that's exposing some things.
Because last year they had Fabian Lovett for most of the season, obviously, and they had Jermaine Johnson and Keir Thomas. So their defensive line was kind of dominating offensive lines and getting in quarterbacks' faces.
Without having to bring...
That's not really happening much this year.
And by the way,
so maybe we overvalued them because of the defensive line last year.
Well, they also aren't playing well.
Well,
Duke Cooper's just not playing well, regardless of pressure rate. He's just not.
That's the thing, and I'm not trying to pile on those guys, but it seems like there are a number of plays where there's just not the level of competition you want to see. Like when letting a guy get outside of you, letting a guy get leverage on you, just things that just compete.
I'm
not seeing that. We're not asking them to be Dion and Terrell Buckley, but just a little bit more competitiveness from those guys.
I'm asking them to be that.
Okay.
I want
Starting against Georgia Tech, I want to see
Dion and T-Buck.
T-Buck, yeah, absolutely.
He's going to get him from Illinois this offseason.
Steve writes, are you guys as disappointed in the defense as I was on Saturday? The offense came out, set the tone, got the momentum, and the defense just kept giving it back. Same old story. Can't get off the field on third down. Steve and Corey could have been having a couple cold ones and lamenting this defense.
Well, a Mio's and a vodka. Well, Steve's drinking his cold one.
Yeah.
A couple of cold Mios.
Yeah. Cold Mio.
Haven't you graduated from that yet? Your colon or whatever the hell is fine. What's wrong with you?
No, man. I
it's
feel
gallbladder and it's gone.
My gallbladder's
good.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But I like how I feel. I like how I feel.
No, I don't want to hear that.
All right.
Get back to feeling lousy.
Real drink those heavy beers.
Yeah, let's go. Oh, you didn't drink heavy beers before anyhow.
Well, I know.
You
I'm saying that's what you drink, and you feel lousy.
No, I feel great. Marlon writes, good day, gents. Is it time to let the dogs out? Those freshmen like so he's going to go through and name all the freshmen that we talked about. Yeah, listen, I think you can start Armella against Georgia Tech. I'd be fine with it. At the very least, he should play a lot. And AZ needs to play a lot more.
Those two, sure. Those two, yeah.
So you're in agreement there.
No, but I thought you were going to say all of the
no.
just youth movements. Like, no, the season's not. We're not writing off the season yet. But those two guys, I'd like to see them go. They're not really worried about Armella's red shirt, right?
I don't think so.
No. Hassan writes, fellas, after the first 4 games of the season, I would have put Jordan Travis in the first 4 rounds of next year's draft. You would have. That's impressive. After the stretch of losses, I'm not sure what to make of his draft stock. What percentage you all give him of coming back? Look, Jordan has played his way into a place where it's not inconceivable that he would get picked up by a team in the NFL. He's still never going to be a first, second, third round type player just because of the measurables. I don't know. This is a great case. We've talked about it a lot for name, image, likeness. Yeah. I mean, if Jordan's projected to go 6th, 7th, or undrafted free agent, and you could give him $1 million to come back next year, I think it'd be in his best interest to come back next year and take that $1 million, get paid guaranteed, and come back here and have an incredible season and perhaps elevate your draft status.
Put any incentives on that, though, Ira, if you're Rising Spear, or whoever the collective is, and be like...
They're unrelated to Florida State. They're just randomly
We'll give you $1 million, but you've got to play a minimum number of snaps.
Yeah, I don't think that's legal.
Sure it is.
It ought to be.
Legal in my world.
But I would say this, again, to your point earlier, I think you could see a scenario where if Jordan does want to come back, and if there's a lot of those guys that are going to be fringe guys. I mean, they're not, a lot of those guys are not guys that are I don't believe the Jared Verse stuff. I'm no offense to Jared Verse. I like you. Yeah. I think you will be a first round talent, but I don't care what Todd McShay says in October. I don't care what Mel Kiper says in September, October. Their draft boards in the beginning of the season
they changed
because the NFL scouts haven't even started looking at these guys really. So there's the information is so bad.
Yeah.
Think about what was the freaking Sam Howell was going to be a first-round pick.
Well,
until
I laughed
NFL
at that
teams started looking at it.
Yeah, well, that's preposterous.
So my point is, it's right now it's just popcorn. It's just stuff they throw out there. It doesn't mean anything. So I think Jared Verse, unless he has a brilliant recovery physically and has a huge second half,
and
he needs to stay in college.
Yeah.
So now you talk about
he would get NIL money too,
right? And you start looking at that group, and it's like, man, you could see if you get Jordan and Jared Verse
and Johnny
Wilson to come back, now, man, everybody might want to come back. You know what I'm saying?
I do think there's a chance that if Fabian Lovett plays well these last 5 games, he
wanted to go last year.
Yeah, and he's a talent. He really is. He's the kind of guy that you could see going in the first couple of rounds if he comes out and has a really good stretch of 5 games.
Some film.
Yeah, he's got to play games. Yeah. Looking at the quick turnaround at Tennessee, 3 wins in 2020, Southern Cal, 4 wins in 2021. What are we missing? Better coaching, better players, more money. Well, I will tell you this. In each of those 2 instances you're talking about, Tennessee and Southern Cal has better players than Florida State, period. Secondly,
their roster, I think, was better before Lincoln Riley got there, but then he brought half
a bunch
of the
of players.
Oklahoma kids with him.
Yeah. So those 2 teams specifically have better players than Florida State, and they also have more money than Florida State.
You also can say, and I think this is true. I know Lincoln Riley is a better offensive coach than Mike Norvell because Lincoln Riley is
one
like
of the most well-sought-after coaches in the country.
I mean, he is.
Yes,
it is okay to admit that some guys are just better coach. Lincoln Riley is a great college football coach,
and he's got better players.
And he's got but he's
got a better quarterback. He's got better receivers.
But those better players want to come play for him too.
Yeah,
it works both ways.
Sure.
And I think Josh Heupel, I don't think you can argue.
Hendon Hooker may win the Heisman.
That he is an elite offensive mind. Clearly.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that in 2025, Tennessee's program will be better than Florida State's.
As an aside,
but right now, he is an elite offensive mind.
We go back to this. It happens all the time because we're prisoners of the moment. He got fired by Bob Stoops.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know. I mean, like these guys who go on to have success, some who fail miserably, were once thought of really highly.
Wasn't Venables essentially fired by Stoops?
I think he was kind of encouraged.
Yeah, encouraged to take it on down the
Bob
road.
Stoops, come on, man. That's pretty tough guys to.
I'm just saying that we see this all the time.
But I think I'm assuming Heupel is I think he said he's a different coach than he was then or something.
Perhaps, but I don't know that he's like grown in IQ points. I mean, he's the same guy. He just, listen, we just saw it with Scott Frost. He went undefeated at UCF after taking over a team that didn't have.
Spurrier got fired by Bill Curry at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
As an OC?
He was a
He
bum.
was the quarterbacks coach, I think.
Really?
Yeah, when Curry got there.
I didn't know that. I didn't know Spurrier had ever been. I wonder if he ever brings that up. Spurrier. He doesn't seem like somebody that would hold on to that. That probably wasn't.
I think when they played, when Curry was at Kentucky, I think they hung about 70
on him.
Yeah. Byron writes, love this team, and I love that they play very hard. Does Coach Norvell know that you do not have to run the ball every first down? We are allowed to pass on those downs. It feels that way sometimes.
They ran the ball really well, though.
Yeah.
They did run the ball really well. Yeah. I think that's a fair criticism for a couple of those drives against NC State. But Clemson, I just thought they did really well. That's a really good defense. They're going to dictate some terms, too.
Kevin writes, since Jeff has agreed to do a keg stand and Ira has agreed to do a beer funnel, is there anything Corey's willing to commit to if we win out?
Is that what it is?
If they win 5 straight, he's going to do a keg stand. I'll be funneling beers.
Out in front of Quarter Pocket, I'll do a keg stand.
Like on Appalachie?
No, or in front of the restaurant, the bar. Yeah.
And Ira's going to be at Corner Pocket.
Right next to me.
Beer funnel.
Yeah. Multiple beers in that funnel.
No,
I think Tom said he would keg stand too.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. So Tom and I will keg stand. Ira will be in the middle doing a funnel. What are you going to do? Dance?
Ooh, no, I was going to say I might get like a half a shot of vodka, put it in my water with some Mios and sip it.
Wow. How about that?
How about that, gang? I want to watch the show. It'd be the first time I'm not the clown. I would love to watch that.
Kevin,
I'll film it.
Kevin, Corey will not commit to anything and follow through. We are aware of this, so I can't, he could have said anything right now. It would have sounded great, but there was no real chance that it was going to happen.
I could come up with something. In hour number 2?
Maybe
How about that?
Hey, if you do the hour number 2 next week, maybe you could break this jinx that you created by not
undeserved hour number 2.
It is brought up, by the way, by multiple headliners in today's line of questioning, both in Twitter and in Facebook, where they say, if a-hole over here hadn't betrayed his word to us, this would have never happened.
How about this?
You are wearing a lot of blame today.
Yeah,
and I've kind of protected you. I've kind of protected you. I haven't gone to
How about this? If they beat Georgia Tech, because I believe the listeners that I must have promised it after 4-0.
You don't think 100 of them made it up?
And so, well, I think it's,
with timestamps.
I mean, again, it's like those cops in L.A. Furman tells them I got a glove. I know how it goes.
Yeah.
But if they beat Georgia Tech, I'll do an hour number 2, knowing it's not deserved for beating Georgia Tech. But maybe it kickstarts.
It's a makeup for all the times you lied to our listeners.
But I don't want to do it in the midst of a 3-game losing streak. I think that just screws with karma. So they got to get me a win. Get me any win at all, and I'll do an hour number 2.
Emero writes, would we rather play an undefeated Syracuse team, or do we want them to lose to Clemson?
Well, that's still a few weeks away, right? I think they could lose a couple times before they play Florida State.
Yeah, I don't think you want to play a team that's undefeated.
They just don't screw them.
Where they just don't think they can lose.
Oh, they can lose. They can lose this team right here. That's what they can do. And what a big win it is. It vaults Florida State into that top 25.
They can lose to Toafili running all over them.
That's right. I'm with you. Stay undefeated. Beat Clemson. Screw Clemson.
Yeah, be number 4 in the country. Be
number 1 in the country. Supplant Ohio State, Georgia, and anybody in Tennessee for that matter.
Now, you don't think Florida State fans, it'd be cool that you beat Syracuse, but then be like, flipping Syracuse is number 1 in the country, and we're celebrating this 8-4 season.
Yeah, but then what would you do? Because the age-old arguments about look at what other coaches have done. Well, Dino Babers has done a whole lot of sucking is what he's done. He's had a couple of good seasons, saved his job.
He's going to do it right now, get an extension.
Yeah,
and then
shows what patience.
Oh, if you're a Syracuse fan, you're like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this. We were on the cusp of firing this guy.
Before.
Yeah. By the way, this is who Syracuse plays the rest of the year. And I have to tell you,
they got really lucky that they played NC State without their quarterback.
Right.
Too.
Well, and I'm gonna tell you this. I think their record is not going to remain unblemished. Here are the games in order: at Clemson, home to Notre Dame, at Pitt, Florida State, at Wake. Yeah, man. No, this
might be a couple losses.
If they win out, they should be the number 1 team in the country. That's crazy with that gauntlet.
If they beat Clemson this weekend, where would you put them?
I mean, you got to put them top 5.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Like Donovan McNabb's out there slinging it around.
Marvin Harrison's making catches every which way.
Kirby Dardar.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues in a moment.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
For many in the workforce, their goal is to climb the company ladder. Often the climb requires a move to another city, and that's especially true in our industry. I'm Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. If you rise the ranks of our competitors, there's a good chance moving up means moving away. Why? Because they're not local companies. They're from places like Orlando, Atlanta, Salt Lake City, and even Europe. That's certainly not the case with our employees. We're a company that was founded in the Big Bend and remains locally owned. When Paul's Termite and Pest Control employees advance, they remain in the Tallahassee area. Don't trust the safety of your family and pets from disease-carrying pests, or the structure of your biggest investment from termites to people who may be here today and gone tomorrow. Trust Paul's Termite and Pest Control, a company that has serviced thousands of our neighbors right here for over 50 years. Being local really does matter in our industry because local problems require local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control are the Big Bend's local experts for the elimination of termites or any other pest, and a greener lawn too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Hey, this is Greg Tish. Here's something you might know about me. I don't drink coffee. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. Well, that is until now. So why change now? Well, it's because my dear friend at Grassroots Coffee reached out to me after hearing me say that and insisted that I give his product a try. I've been making a huge mistake. The world of coffee is fascinating. I always thought coffee is coffee, you know? No, it's not. I have tried their coffee and it is fantastic. Now, I've got a fascination with learning more about the best coffee in our area. Grassroots Coffee is locally roasted, locally owned, and locally loved. You can find whole bean Grassroots Coffee on the local aisle at Publix, also in Whole Foods. But the best way to get this black gold is to order it online. They literally grind the fresh roasted beans to your preferred level, bag it, write the date on it by hand so you know the exact day your coffee was roasted. It doesn't get any more fresh than that. Order yours now. Just go to grassrootscoffee.com and choose the coffee you want and how you want it. And join me Let's step up our coffee game together and also support a great local business.
Every day, Sellers makes life a little better for homeowners, helping them find the best design ideas for their homes with the best quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Even mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions are at their fingertips in their remarkable showroom. Maybe it's time for you to get the Sellers Advantage for your home or office. Find them on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com. For style, quality, and design, get the Sellers Advantage. In Tallahassee, call 656-8453.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero gravity. All of your worries and stress melt away. Your mind stops racing and you fall into a profound state of pure relaxation. This is available to you right now at Tallulah Delta 8 Plus Floating in Railroad Square for just $50. These state-of-the-art floating pods are unlike anything else you've ever experienced, and while you're there, you can shop for some of the latest and greatest CBD and Delta 8 products on the market. Natural pain management, stress relief, and better sleep are all at your fingertips at Tallulah. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you, and thank me later.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Ted writes, hello, gents. Just wanted to say hello from West Tennessee. I listen to you guys every week. Thanks so much for the fantastic content. Go Noles.
Thanks,
Ted.
Thanks, Ted.
Appreciate
That was
it, man.
awfully nice of you to say, buddy. Kevin
Memphis
writes,
is West Tennessee, right?
We're big in Tennessee.
West Tennessee is.
I think we're growing. Our popularity is growing in Tennessee for some reason. I really don't know why. Maybe
because
they
of
just,
my love for Heupel.
They finally just got to hear it, and they're like, man, this is great.
We don't get stuff like this on the Vols.
Logan writes, what are the odds we fire Fuller after the season, and we have got to make changes? Yeah, I feel like Fuller will be the brunt of this fan base's frustration overall if things don't get much better as the season goes on.
The defense could get right here in the last 5 games.
They could.
I would like them to confuse offenses a little more than they seem to. But I think that goes back to not playing zone well.
Well,
but that also goes back to maybe not communicating or teaching zone well enough. I don't know what
that is. A fair criticism, period. It just is. I mean, it's been 3 years now. We don't know how to play zone. What are we doing here? Gator Kirk writes, gentlemen, biggest surprise, Patrick Payton or Renardo Green?
Renardo Green.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Patrick
Payton's talented.
Good,
We just thought he had to get a lot bigger, and he does, but he's got a lot of skill there. He's going to be a very good football player. Renardo Green, we thought might not even be on the team going into spring.
And certainly nobody was fired up. Oh, who's running first team opposite Duke? Renardo Green. Oh, geez, really? And now he's turned into one of the better cornerbacks in the conference. And Patrick Payton, you didn't know what he was because he was a redshirt freshman. Renardo Green, we had already seen him for years. Yeah. And this seemingly just kind of came out of nowhere.
Also, I would say this, again, we talk about the fight, not quitting and all. On the kickoff return, like
there was some half-stepping.
No, but the guys that ran him down.
Yes,
I think Sidney Williams was flying too.
Yeah.
And a guy who doesn't even play anymore except on special teams.
It's a good thing they did. That way there was one more play to be run before we gave up the touchdown.
Yeah.
I think if healthy, writes Jared, we stand a good chance to finish 9-3, win a bowl game, go 10-3. Let's get crazy. That'd be the most uplifting season, not counting 2010 or 2013 since when? Well, you cited a couple good ones there.
Yeah, I think that'd be
probably since then.
Yeah, since then. Yeah. But that would be. I mean, it's you'd be surprised if they win out. Just because you figure some of these games are going to be close, and things go poorly in the fourth quarter sometimes, but. They will be in every game, and it's not out of the realm of possibility at all to finish with 10 wins this season, right?
No.
If the offense plays like it did against Clemson for the rest of the year, big if, games are different, and the defense just doesn't give away touchdowns, it can maybe start getting off the field and give the offense more chance. Yeah, man, they're very capable of winning the rest of these games.
Terry writes, Corey, it's time for you to get with it and own up to your welching and give us that hour number 2. If not, you can always ask the question to Coach Norvell that turns this season around. Swallow your pride and get back to work.
That's fair.
Make something happen.
That's fair. I tried today with the Johnny Wilson throws. He didn't take the bait.
He
I
wouldn't
thought
bite.
He wouldn't bite. I thought that was going to turn into a 6-minute
He could tell that was
soliloquy.
manufactured.
Yeah.
He knew.
Of course, like, those 2 times you threw it up to the 6-7 guy. Like,
why were they so bad and not close to being caught?
Was that what you were looking for?
Yeah, were you looking for the ball?
Were you looking for it 17 yards to the right and high?
Yeah.
Or is that
Can you
not a real
not
good
just lob it
throw?
up high and let him go run towards it and catch it like a punt?
I haven't been on social media, writes Michael, extensively in the past. Was there this much vitriol and fire this, fire that in 2010, leading up to the national title in 2013?
2012 after the NC
I
State
wrote a
game.
lengthy column about wanting to fire Jimbo Fisher, didn't you?
No, I don't think I went quite that far. I might have threw some red meat out there for the Lions and the Hyenas.
Yeah,
there was vitriol in 11 after the loss to Wake, the 35-30
Well, that 2012
loss to
game
Wake.
against NC State.
And then 2012 NC State was a toughie.
He almost didn't survive that one.
That was the Florida game though. It was a crazy turnovers. Like in Florida was Florida. Like that was a in New Year's Six team. Like that was not a great NC State team, and you lost.
That's still frustrating. Nathaniel Hornblower writes, "Good day to Jeff and Ira, and to everyone else that didn't break an hour number 2 promise."
Man, I'm making amends, guys. I'm making amends after they
to
win
this
another
great
game.
legion of loyal headliners. Looking ahead to the 5-game stretch as of right now, many think the Cuse game is the lowest win percentage remaining. What does Gambling Jeff's magic spreadsheet say on the Orange?
Yeah, what do you got there, Jeff?
I have not projected that game just yet. I'm worried about Georgia Tech this week. It's a rule in
what do
gambling.
you think the line's going to be on the Georgia Tech game?
Oh, wow.
9, 10?
So, yeah, I would say a little 7.5, 8.
No, I was going to say like 14 or 17.
No, Tech's been playing a little better lately. And
No, I
we've
know.
lost 3
but
straight.
Tech's only a 3-point favorite against Virginia at home on Thursday night. So I would think, okay,
Man,
they
who the hell scheduled that game?
So I know, isn't that awesome? What a great showcase for the conference on a Thursday night. Georgia Tech and Virginia. Good grief.
I'm curious to watch them versus Clemson this week, and my gut says UF will somehow be the toughest out remaining on the schedule. Those backs are very good, and I can see Anthony Richardson having one of those days, a la that Neyland Stadium outing he just had, followed by Cuse and Miami. I still think Miami might be a coin flip because we will absolutely be their Super Bowl by the time we get there. So that is the frustrating aspect. They played terrible against Virginia Tech, Miami did. I watched that game. I got backdoor covered on in the late score by Virginia Tech. It was a 6.5-point spread. Miami wins 20-14 after being up 20-0. So that'll frustrate you. That's gambling, guys.
Yeah.
But anyhow, that said, they didn't play well. And every time I watch their offense, I could tell they're not on the same page. They don't have difference makers at wide receiver. They're frustrated. But you bet they will play really well when we go down there.
And every time they play a home game, it is literally looks like a like one of those high school state championship games. Well, like a single A high school state championship game where there's 1,200 people in the stands. But for that one game every 2 years, it is an actual home field advantage.
And I've gone to a ton of them over the last several years, and it is amazing. Like, you walk in, you think it's the Super Bowl. I mean, it is packed. It's crazy.
Did you see the crowd for the North Carolina game when they played North Carolina there 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I mean, it looked honestly like the fourth quarter against Clemson here. I mean, it literally, I'm not trying to take shots, but it is just completely and utterly empty,
buddy.
But it will be a hard place to play that one night.
Yeah, as soon as we roll, you get to within a mile of the stadium, you'll hear the DMX in the background. You'll be like, oh, here it comes.
Yep.
They're fired up again today, guys. Here we go. Ryan writes, gentlemen, let's talk coordinators. We seem to get an upgrade by losing Dillingham in favor of Atkins. Why stop there? Not ready to jump on the Fire Fuller train just yet. Sounds like you are.
Sounded like you're if you saw it, you would start running towards it.
I was going to say he's like looking longingly
Yeah,
at
he's
it
like,
right now.
I hear a horn. I hear a train horn coming.
Where was that? That's just the Fire Fuller train. Oh, what's it look like? So, by the way, he goes on to say, surely there's a better option.
Well, here's the problem. If you go 7-5, which is what be the scenario where you're looking to make
nobody's
a change.
coming here.
I mean, how many better candidates are lining up for that job at that point? So,
can I interest you in the DC at Illinois? he has some kids he can bring with him. Little package deal.
I said this myself as you were talking
That's
in
where
slow
he's gonna
motion.
go.
Like, here it comes. And here comes the softball.
Just saying. I'm not saying that's in the works. I'm just saying, who knows? Who knows?
Has there ever been
can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
I think Adam Fuller's a good coach. I think this has been a tough deal. They've been dealt a tough deck a hand, a tough hand.
A tough deck of hands.
Good grief.
Yeah, it's all right.
With the injuries on the defensive line. I mean, because I don't know how that's changed things in terms of what that's forced them to do on the back end. because it is all intertwined. I mean, we talked about last year, they had the advantage of getting pressure with their front four. Now you don't. And you've had a lot of those guys banged up. I want to see how they play.
Don't you think these last 5 games? I mean,
I want to see how they play in these last 5
realistically, because if Fabian Lovett's healthy and if Jared Verse is healthier, you've got your line
Right.
that you had to start the year. And if it looks
I want
like
to see what that looks like.
And if it doesn't look good, then
Right.
I think everything's on the table. But if they play like they did for 3 quarters against LSU with that group, then I think that's Adam Fuller saying, look, this is what
because nobody was saying any of this before those guys got hurt, is what I'm saying.
The 5 games upcoming, again, are going to tell us a ton of answers, and it's for a lot of guys.
Yep.
It's for a lot of guys.
It's really, honestly, for the really Norvell's maybe future. I mean, if you screw around and go 2-3 in these 5
Correct.
games, I mean, this is a huge stretch.
That's why I brought it up the way that I did yesterday.
I'm only thinking about 1 game. You guys keep talking about 5 games.
I'm saying that 5 games are important, but I'm hyper-focused. I'm working out every morning thinking about Georgia Tech. That's just
playing that Ramblin' Wreck fight song.
I can't wait. John writes, after the LSU game, I stated, I do have serious concerns about our in-game coaching management. Also, I wrote, I'm worried in a critical game where something is on the line, say the division or conference, we're going to see what we saw in the Dome in last year versus Jacksonville State. There's a pattern beginning to form here, gentlemen. How many more times does this have to happen? And it will happen again until you 3 are seriously concerned.
Here's the thing. I think a lot of the mistakes that I've seen out of Norvell are in big moments. It's trying to do too much sometimes, trying to be aggressive and trying to help his team make plays that maybe they're not good enough to make. And when I say that is the 2nd down and 12 right before halftime. You get the tackle for loss. Toafili has to run out to midfield. You're around midfield. There's, 30 seconds left, whatever it is, before halftime. So you have a chance to score and answer Clemson because they're going to start the second half.
Sure.
And in that moment, he calls a pass play where Jordan drops back and he believes that they can make a play. And it's like, man, you're asking those tackles to block those ends on a play where everybody in the stadium knows that they're going to be passing. And Jordan doesn't get the ball out of his hands quickly. A strip sack is definitely a possibility, is a distinct possibility in that situation, and you can't have that. You can't have that in that moment, and it goes back to
But he's trying to score. What does he want him to do?
Because in that situation, it's a way better decision to not score, to not do anything, than to give you
the ball's at midfield though with 50 seconds left in timeout.
But doing a situation, creating a situation where there's a possibility, a distinct possibility. Look, man. On an obvious passing down with your offensive line against that defensive front, it's a distinct possibility your quarterback's going to end up.
That's definitely a part of the package.
That's not like that might happen. It's a distinct likelihood.
So your problem is not that he's going to be aggressive, because that's not a problem. It's that you don't like that play call.
I don't like. Sometimes he's aggressive because I think he feels like he needs to help the team. The fake punt. He felt like the offense went 3 and out. This team needs a spark. I've got to do something. I felt like the pitch down at the goal line against LSU. It was like not.
Well, that was just strange.
But
I don't know what the hell that was.
To me, it's a lot of times not thinking about the worst possible thing. It's not considering that something could go wrong. I think he's very confident. And at Memphis, I'm thinking they were better than a lot of the teams they played, and he could kind of coach that way.
So you're talking about watching him mature and going through the process that we're watching some of the players go through.
Right. I don't think it's that he's making decisions that are poor because he doesn't know. I think he's consciously trying to be aggressive, and in a lot of situations it's backfiring.
But yeah, it has not gone well for him in the many of the, including a couple of the games they won, the LSU game and then the Louisville game with the nonsense trying to kick a field goal and go up 7. Those aren't great moments in critical situations that he has to get better at.
They're going for it on 4th down against Notre Dame last year, or against NC State, deep in your own territory. There are situations where I think he's trying. If he had a better team, he might not feel like he needs to do that. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and he needs to learn from that and not continue to make those mistakes. So the criticisms in those moments seem warranted. But that's all they are, right? They're part of a larger discussion about who he is as a coach and where we think they're going.
And there's so many things that I like about him, and I think he's done really well.
Yeah, and it's troubling too, Ira, because I think we agree on this. We think he's a very good football coach, and we both agree, I think, just from what you're saying, that he's going to be an even better coach when he learns from these mistakes and gets better. But if you keep making them, it's okay to say, hey, man.
Yeah, Florida State fans have the right to be like, hey, we got to watch this guy learn on the job and foul it up every week.
But you know what the answer to that might be? Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, you do. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Your local news now.
Tallahassee Police Department is investigating after human remains were found Monday afternoon. TPD says just before 3 p.m., a group of individuals discovered skeletal remains in the area of the 2600 block of Appalachia Parkway. Preliminary findings reportedly indicated the skeletal remains are human. This is currently an open and active investigation. The city of Thomasville is set to host its first career fair, encouraging job seekers to come out and find career opportunities at the free event. It is set to take place on Tuesday, October 25th from 11 to 6 at the Thomas County Public Library. On-site interviews will be conducted at the fair in order to provide job seekers with immediate conditional job offers. In order to complete a job application on site, attendees must bring their high school diploma, school transcript or GED, and a valid driver's license or college diploma. For job opportunities within the fire and police departments, a birth certificate will be required as well. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. They're now open at their new location on John Knox Road. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Highs around 69 today under mainly sunny skies. Winds out of the north 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Lows dip down to about 41. Daytime highs approaching 64 tomorrow. Ample sunshine expected. Ample sunshine expected Thursday with daytime highs approaching 67. 73 Friday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 67.
Your body is a masterpiece designed to heal itself from within. Learn how to maximize your health by tuning in to Phenomenal Health with me, Dr. Ryan Finn. Saturdays at 2:30. Experience true health today and call Finn Chiropractic at 386-7700.
Your next chance to win $1,000 is coming up at 3 p.m. Don't miss your chance to shake the 93.3 money tree and see what falls out. Planted by the law offices of Basic Brooks. Come back stronger with Basic Brooks.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Hey, Greg Tish here along with
Matty Rowe.
And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We've got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We could talk about our feelings.
There's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Gil writes, I think another thing no one has talked about recently is Verse is still hurt clearly. He was a beast against LSU. We're missing that pass rush off the edge. If he and Fabian are healthy, I think it makes all the difference in the world over the next 5 games. He goes on to say that the Wakulla Springs chicken from Horizons Bar and Grill is outstanding.
It is.
Correct.
I agree with that.
That's Kim's favorite.
Yeah, sometimes I disagree with Gil and everybody else, but this was right on.
That's right on the money.
It's right on the money right there.
I think Kim gets with the mashed potatoes. It's delicious. But everything at Horizons is great, man. We should try to get over there this week, Corey. We're in town all week.
Maybe, yeah. I could make it over there. I'll see if you guys.
It's a bye week. You decide to stay in town?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. I had no idea. So Sean, don't do it.
Sorry. I had somebody sing that to me today or this weekend though, so I think it's catching on.
Oh yeah,
people love. that
people love
jingle.
it. I hate it. I immediately run away.
Yeah.
You
grimace.
With a 7-5 season, is Norvell on the hot seat going into next year? Yeah,
it's warm. It's definitely warm.
Yeah, it's a yeah.
I don't think it's a seat where like if they
I'm
start
not talking
out
about
2-2, he's fired.
Yeah, I think he would be at that point. Sure. Good day, gents. I think the entire fan base might need to go see Dr. Birch from gnashing of teeth I've seen since Saturday. How much of the following stat is the lack of faith in the kicker, and how much of it is just poor execution? Oh, he's talking about we're 101st in the red zone.
It's a lot to do with the kicker because some of those misses were in the red zone, and that clearly hurts your ranking. Because last year I think they converted like their last 25 or 28 or 30 trips.
And also, and some of the decisions to not kick a field goal have been because they didn't.
Kind of started out right away in the first game of the season with the fade to Pittman instead of taking the points.
Trey writes, my behavior immediately following the NC State interception made me realize I'm no more mature than I was in 2012, despite being married and having 3 kids in that time frame. You 3 might all be mature adults, but compare for me your behavior / mindset between the 2 losses in 10 years. Yeah, Trey, I'm going to have to confirm your suspicion. I'm much more mature than you. And so is, I think, Ira and Corey. And
yeah, but
I'm just being honest.
He's saying how different were you in 12 when they lost NC State?
Oh, I was incensed in 2012.
Did you curse?
Yeah, sure. And I still curse occasionally.
No, did you curse like right then, like when they lost, when they gave up the 4th down touchdown?
I think here's the issue. That I remember I think we were walking down to the press box at the end of that game, and
walking to the field,
from the press box,
yeah.
And you felt like they're going to blow this game because of the way it had gone. It was so frustrating to watch it play out. The difference, though, to me, is you knew that was a good football team. Like that was
really
a good football team.
That's what made it so frustrating.
Well, and also he was just
whereas losing to NC State the other week, it was bad because you blew it. You should have won. But it's not like this is a great football team. It's just, man, you had a chance.
There were more stakes. There were more stakes than 12, but it's like, man,
because you were still top 5 in the country.
You just knew that if Georgia Tech had been the week after NC State, you knew Clemson was coming. So you're like, well, there you go. There's 3-game losing streak because you just throw a ball up to the corner of the end zone for no real reason or purpose.
Trey, I will not.
I'm still mad about both of them.
I will not tisk you for being upset and perhaps cursing, some other kind of utterance, whatever you might have done. There's nothing wrong with that. That will probably be with you your entire life. You might be 78 watching a game that Florida State blows and you say GD or something like that. I mean, because you care. Now, where it gets different is you ought not be throwing stuff or, flipping out to where it affects you on, say, Tuesday.
Right.
I mean, like, we got to move on here. You got to let it ride. But I can assure you, Trey,
you're just taking a shower like Tuesday morning and you think about the pass and you just punch the tile, break your hand.
Right. Like that's a young man's game. You got to move on from that. And so hopefully you're not doing that. Walter writes, since a 9-3 season is a lock, if you only had these 2 bowls to pick from, I can tell you before I look, the New Era Pinstripe Bowl, right? We want to go to New York.
No. Well, what's the other one?
Okay, here are the questions. Here's
to
the
New York in December.
Yes, it's going to be fantastic.
I don't like rats. Right, Ira? That's all New York has is rats and snow.
Stop it.
Do rats run away from the snow, or do they enjoy the snow?
If you only had these bowls to pick from, I know you, Corey, and I know where you'll be staying. It's going to be fine. Which would each of you prefer? The New Era Pinstripe Bowl is in Yankee Stadium versus a Big Ten team.
Ugh.
The what the hell is really a Quest Bowl? What is that? You know what that is?
No.
R-E-L-I-A?
Why would any of us know what bowls are anymore? We don't go
to them. Give us cities, not names.
Yeah, we need
change
cities.
every week.
Well, I don't know what that is. San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl versus the Pac-12
in San Diego.
I'd like to go to the San Diego Union County Credit Bowl.
I don't feel like I'm going to
and I don't want to go to the Gator Bowl. And you will say that.
Absolutely.
You'll be like, let's go back over to the landing. No, we're not doing it.
I want to
go.
I want to go to the Gator Bowl.
No,
hey, all the Noles can go.
Nobody wants to go to the Gator Bowl. It's ass.
Man, I'm not.
No.
I don't want to go to
New York or San Diego, real cities. We're not going over to Jacksonville. Stop it.
We have a loyal listenership from Jacksonville.
Good God
it's
Almighty.
The biggest city in the country. A lot of fine people in Jacksonville. Duval, stand up.
I love that
I'm
you say
with
it's
you.
the biggest city.
Well, it is.
Damn well.
Area-wise.
Yeah, I know. But if the Noles end up 10-3 or 9-4 after the bowl game this season, does Alfred extend Mike? Yes.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. That's
and
5 minutes.
And you should.
Vishal writes, saw that we had a large amount of recruits in this last week. In question, given the state of the program, should we focus more on transfer portal kids and high school seniors? No, I think it's both.
Yeah, I think you just got to keep doing both.
You keep doing both.
But do you think you get like 10 or 11 again this year out of the portal?
I wonder.
I do too. I guess
I think
kind
you
of
do have
depends
to go
on
get some portal.
Yeah, it depends on what some of those guys,
yeah,
what they do.
Whether it's justified or not, writes Eric, do you think some fans get frustrated by the quick turnaround at a place like Ole Miss or Tennessee? What has Heupel and Kiffin figured out that we haven't? Me, I'm all about hiring a Bama table employee who knows the secret sauce and adding him to our staff. Bring the Bama table to tally. # rock ass solid.
It's definitely people I think can look at that and be like, that'd be cool if that was us.
But it's every year, guys. Yeah. It's every year. And you know what? If Ole Miss stinks next year, they'll just pick the other team that's doing really well in that moment. I mean, we'll see. Bob writes, registers, do you want your discounts back? Every game except Boston College has had lapses where games become too close or, in Clemson's case, a runaway. The Noles will need to stop having these lapses if we hope to just go 3-2 over the next 5.
Well, look, the last 3 games.
I would never give back the discounts.
No, of course
not. What the hell are we talking
against good teams, you gave up a 28-0 run to Wake, a 16-0 run to close out the second half against NC State, and then a 27-0 run against Clemson. You don't beat good teams by letting them go on 28-0 runs.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of you've got to have guys that aren't affected by momentum or not affected by situation. And I think this is a team that we've seen these last few weeks. They're still affected by situations and runs. I mean, I think, again, that situation from the end of the first half to the beginning of the second half was not just like bad luck. It's guys making terrible decisions in moments where you can't do that. And so good teams don't do that. And you get to a point as a good team where your guys are not so affected by what's happening.
Or if they do it, Ira, they can overcome it because their margin for error is greater.
Right.
So, good teams make mistakes. I watched Alabama, Tennessee. There were mistakes all over the place, but they've got really good players and incredible quarterbacks with elite wide receivers. Yeah. And you know what? They'll make it up on second and 13.
Florida State's at a point where they don't have a lot of margin for error.
Well, especially against Clemson. Like they could withstand a stretch like that against Georgia Tech or Boston College. You hope. Or Louisiana. You can't against Clemson.
They not do it?
Yeah.
Sure.
You don't want Georgia Tech to go on a 28-0 run. That wouldn't be great for anybody.
We have a real problem on our hands.
We do.
Happens.
We might have an emergency headline Saturday night.
That would be a real problem. And I don't even know where we would go after that. Like, imagine having to come on here after a 28-0 run for Georgia Tech to win the game.
Yeah, we would. I don't know what we would.
Ira would host it, and I'd just sit in there and watch. I don't even.
You'd just be sitting in the corner rocking.
Yeah, rocking back and forth.
Yeah. Dustin writes, the team had great success running when Jordan was under center. Is this something you've asked Mike Norvell about? Seems like they should be under center a little bit more often.
We talked about during the game that it was interesting that they were doing it, but we have not asked Norvell about it.
Well, we've only gotten him once.
Yeah.
And that was today, and it was after a practice. But yeah, I think that's something to look for moving forward, going into the next week, if that becomes more of their part of their plan.
Last one, Nick writes, why do we keep throwing 20-yard deep routes on 4th and 2? Well, he had an option there, Nick. We discussed it earlier. Sorry, I'm not being mad at you. I'm just saying he could have thrown it in the flats to Toafili for the first down.
Every pass play has multiple options. You're trying to move the defense
Your quarterback
away.
made a poor choice. Ira's point would be that can't happen, and that Mike has to say to him before the play, look, man, first down is the first priority.
Johnny Wilson's not even in the route.
and I get it that, like, the NFL is a different animal, but Peyton Manning, I was telling Corey this, Peyton Manning on the Manning cast last year, I was watching one of the games, and it was before 4th and goal or 4th and 1, something like that. And what he said was, those plays, it's on the coordinator to give you an easy throw. Like, you can't, you need to have good plays.
That was an easy throw to Toafili. If he made it,
but he has to know that that's where the play is.
That's the play. That's number one option, number two option,
It's not a
number
blank
3 option.
canvas to decide.
Agreed, but I don't know what he was told and not told. I mean, Jordan might have just taken a risk. He thought he had it.
It's possible, man.
I mean, how many times did they rep that play?
Then Coach Jordan
It's a simple concept.
Coach Jordan better.
Well, okay. I mean, look, at some point, your player has to make a play. We do this all the time with other players. I mean, that's not that hard a decision.
No, it's not hard at all.
I agree. It just shouldn't even be much of a decision is all I'm saying.
It shouldn't even be a decision at all.
It should be that or run.
If you don't
we should
throw
have
it
seen
to
Mike throw
Toafili,
his headset onto the ground and look at Jordan like, what are we doing
Tate,
here?
you're
Get your
warming
ass
up.
off the field. I'm
Tate,
done
you're
with
our
this.
quarterback. I can't deal with this anymore.
For Corey and Ira, I'm Jeff. Be well, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to the program. We'll talk to you again next week. Take care.